Terry, good to be back.
No. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Rugby League Outlaws, brought to you by our good friends at TopSport, onelittlefootyfan.com.au and the Stubby Club. Dan, what a round of rugby league we have.
NRL is back with a bang, dare I say.
I love it. I'm glad we've cut international round out next year.
I'm not.
All the rugby league, all the NRL that you can get.
I'm not, but we'll save that for another time because we've been punching on off screen.
We have. So what do you got for me, Dan?
Well, look, despite a fantastic round of rugby league, plenty of tries, bit of a rain-affected round.
A bit of a rain-affected round.
A little bit of rain. Unfortunately, everyone's talking about the referees again. Contentious decisions, 6 against, penalties, sin bins, la-di-da. I'm sick of it.
Something that happened in the Dragons-Raiders game sticks out to mind. 2 points down, lay all over the player, stand 5 metres offside. You're not going to give the Raiders the opportunity to square the game. You and I have come up with a solution, though.
Use common sense.
Well, apart from using common sense, I feel the last 2 minutes of the game, penalty.
Any penalty is a penalty.
Yeah.
100% agree. Now, I saw plenty of people on social media say that this has been coming. It was only a matter of time. The referee has some discretion. Now, to the letter of the law, he probably got it right. The infringement is a 6 again. But you have to use common sense. There was a infringement with the play of the ball. If the guy gets up and drops the ball, it's penalty because you can't give him the advantage of the 6 again. Of course, you don't think like that when you're trying to win a game. You're trying to get up, play the ball, give it back to White to try and score in the corner, win it late. Everyone was annoyed, and for good reason. It was very, very frustrating. Now, with the decision, I like to put my team in that position. Not that the Sharks ever would, being that we flogged them down there in the rain just quietly. But if that had happened to the Sharks, would you have been annoyed?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where you want the penalty. And, I mean, even in this day and age, as you said, it's the infringement, right? He's on the ground, it's a ruck infringement. But if the player gets up and drops the ball and you challenge it, you never know what the bunker's going to do.
Spot on.
The final 2 minutes has to be a penalty. Now, speaking of contentious calls, there was a couple of other ones you and I have beefed about. Now, the first one, touch judges. What's the point of them? We saw it in the Sharks-Bulldogs game. Matt Burton put in what everybody thought was a cracking goal line dropout.
Inch perfect.
Turns out it was an inch too far, but the touch judge was right there and stuck his flag up so confidently that Cronulla didn't challenge it. By the time we see it on the big screen, the ball's clearly out on the full. So, one, what's the touch judge doing? And two, why didn't the bunker interfere on that?
Well, I think it's more the second, because in normal motion, it looked good.
Yeah.
Okay, you're standing there, you're looking down, it's wet, the water, the rain's in your eyes, the ball bounces, whatever. Inch either way, it could have, it was a difficult decision. But the bunker, it took one look to say, hey, hold on a minute. Mm-hmm. Exactly right. Why can't the bunker...
I mean, the bunker can tell the referee the difference between a line dropout and a 20-metre restart. He can tell them, hang on a minute, this guy's been clocked high, we're going on report. Why can't he just turn around and go, hang on, Ash, who had a very, very good game, by the way, Ashley Klein, that ball's actually gone out on the full penalty.
Look, I can't remember the score. Ultimately, it didn't matter. But Cronulla get that penalty, they go up by 8, and the game over. I mean, you're never going to score more than like 10 points and a half in those conditions. Disgusting stuff. And we bang on about the bunker. How many $1 million did it cost? Lots. And they can't say, oi.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing as well is we can rule a guy out for a HIA.
Minutes ago.
Yeah. And now the other call as well was Friday night, Scott Sorensen ended up in a dangerous position. A penalty was given. Caused a lot of controversy. I want to back the referee on this one.
I'm absolutely not. I think that's one of the worst decisions you'll ever see. Now, letter of the law, okay, we keep going back to that. He ends up in a dangerous position. Every single tackle is dangerous. You got big guys slapping meat. Someone could get hurt in every tackle. We saw Fafita run and clock a bloke, knock him out. You tell me that's not dangerous, but because it's an accident or, he didn't land on his head, the bloke was on the ground. Connor Watson, I believe it was. He lifts him up and Sorensen falls down, gets up to play the ball. They blow a penalty. Sorensen went to blow up to say, well, I didn't do anything. No penalty.
The thing is that Connor Watson was sat on the ground, took his legs and pushed him up. Now, whether there was a lot of momentum in there from Sorensen or not, it's innocuous, but it was a penalty.
I hate it. Absolutely hate it.
I know you hate it, but it's one of them ones where if it went against Cronulla, I'd probably go, well, it was dumb. Why did you sit down? Just hit him.
Look, he should have hit him, but I think he slipped a little bit. I think if you're going to call that, Why do we bother?
Now, let's talk away from that. Let's talk about something else that's caused a lot of controversy online. Brian Toto has declared his allegiance for Samoa, Jerome Luai as well, making Samoa a pretty powerful team. Now, it's not that's caused the controversy, but people are saying, should this bring Brian Toto's eligibility for New South Wales under the spotlight? And my answer to that is yes.
Absolutely not.
No, you shouldn't be able to play for New South Wales.
Get out of here, says the Queenslander.
Obviously, you should be able to play for New South Wales.
Look, it's just one of those things that Samoa is a Tier 2 nation.
Yeah.
Tonga is a Tier 2 nation. You got players that can play for both. I know what people are going to say. Well, why can't the Kiwis?
They're a Tier 1.
It's very, very different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tonga and Samoa, until recently, were bit part players. You know, and I say that with all due respect. They don't have the end-of-year tri-nations that used to be almost every year with the top 3 or 4 sides. So I think it's great for the game. I think Samoa will become a real force with those 2 superstars. Mm-hmm. They could make the Australian side. They probably won't. But
Brian Toto would.
But even Luai, you could name him, you go, okay, like, it's going to be Munster. Mm-hmm. But you could go, okay, he could get a game or 2 in the groups.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Look, Toto was definitely going to be on the wing. He's the best winger in the world at the moment.
Right up there.
Let's not mess around with that. But no, it's good for him. He's turned around and said, look, I'm born in New South Wales. I'm proud to play for New South Wales, but my heritage is Samoan. Let me represent both. Absolutely.
I think it's utterly fantastic. Now, the big question, Terry. Mm-hmm. Tonga have long been, since the Fafita and Taumalolo change, the number 4 nation in the world. Does Samoa possibly have cause to say, we're number 4 now?
Well, I mean, it's pretty harsh on Australia to take the number 4 spot away from them at the moment. But no, look, I think you know the top 4 nations at the moment. You're definitely looking at Australia, New Zealand, Tonga, Samoa. I think England gets towed up by both of those sides there. It pains me to say it, but that's probably your final 4. I don't know how the group stages are going or who's been picked against what, but I mean, you've even got to have a look. Fiji were really impressive. Papua New Guinea's probably going to give England all sorts of problems here as well. So, yeah, look, I think you know, more players like that turning around and saying I want to represent my my country of heritage is great, but I don't think you can. You know, you see all these teams online where they're talking about Payne Haas and Paulo and Josh Papali'i. These guys are entrenched in the Australian team, like. Guys who have never played for Australia before, okay, but don't rob Peter to feed Paul.
Yeah, look, there's a big difference between the full-strength Samoan eligible team and what will be named.
Yeah.
I think it'll be the strongest Samoan team ever named. I don't think that's...
I mean, otherwise you've got to go and take Jerome Hughes out of it.
Yeah, look, this is going to be the best World Cup, is where I'm going with this. It is in England, which is a bit of a pain because, I'm selfish and I want to watch the games middle of the night, but I think this is only good. I can't find a negative in it.
Now, Dan... New South Wales went to Perth and levelled the series comprehensively. It was really, really painful to watch. But some players coming back for New South Wales this time, we're talking about one of them, Jack Whiten. Now, he looks odds on to be on the bench in the number 14. Damien Cook looks odds to be on the bench number 15, which means Talakai's out. Are you happy with that?
Not really, to be honest. I think we're forward short. And New South Wales name a team that has big minute players. Mm-hmm. Murray, Crichton, they can play 80. Payne Haas can play 80 if required. Paulo can play big minutes despite his size. I just think it leaves New South Wales a little short. Talakai didn't play a huge amount in the second game, but he might have been called upon. Now, Whiten, again, can play in the forwards. But him versus Talakai... which bloke do you want hitting the ball up for your life?
Well, here's the thing. Talakai can play 2 to 5. Like, he can play anywhere in the back line, and he can play anywhere in the forward pack.
Yes.
Jack Whiten can play 1 to 7, and he can play back row. So, each player has their pros and cons, but I think if you're having 2 utilities on the bench, you're probably playing into Queensland's hand a little bit there.
Perhaps you drop Coruscant for either Talakai or another forward, which I think ultimately might happen, which is really unfair on Coruscant. But out of the 2, Damien Cook was arguably the best player on the field. So
Damien Cook was the best player on the field, not named Nathan Cleary.
Yeah, so look, it's Brad Fittler, so you're loath to guess what he's going to do.
He's probably going to have 4 wings on the bench.
Who knows? There's always the chance that Crichton may miss out and Whiten, who was very, very good in Origin 1, comes into the centres. I tend to think if you're playing Whiten, he has to play in the centres because you can only carry 1 utility on the bench.
Correct. Now, Latrell Mitchell has done Brad Fittler a favour by ruling himself out. Now, yes, you're right. He can't actually rule himself out. And if Brad Fittler picks him, he does have to turn up. Souths have a game on the weekend, which we'll talk about later in TopSport. But, you know, if Fittler turns around and says you're playing, he's playing. But he's basically said to Freddie, don't pick me. I'm not ready at the moment. It's my first game back. Yes, he was brilliant. He was really, really good. But he's turned around and said, you know, let Crichton and Burton do the job. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's selfless. I think it shows great maturity. And if there was any doubt, say, hey, I'm not quite ready. I want to focus on South. This is a bloke who cops. He wore his beanie different to everyone else, and there was an online pylon. This bloke is arguably the most divisive player in the game, and he shouldn't be.
There's no way he should be.
It's only the fact that he's so good and he's so outspoken that he's an easy target for weak journalists. But I think he's done the right thing. If he's not 100% sure, don't play. He's a bloke that spent, 12 weeks? He's played once in 12 weeks. Now, he could have played and he'd probably be the best player on the field. I think it's a great decision, and like you said, he saved the headache.
Yeah, look, I don't like this. You have to retire from rep football to you know, so you don't play. Like, there's got to be an element of I'm not feeling great, I've got a bad knee, or I'm not match fit.
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah.
80 minutes at centre
in
Origin is way different to playing. You know, Parramatta didn't put him under a whole lot of pressure, and he was very, very good. There was talks he was only going to play 60. He played the 80. He could play another 25 minutes. He's so fit. Again, though, he's played one game in 12 weeks. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Congrats, Latrell. Thank you for making that call. Fittler would have picked him.
Yeah.
Straight up, would have picked him.
Yeah. Now, Felice Kafusi as well. He's in America. His dad's not well. He won't be back for Origin. He won't be back for the Sharks game either. But,
very unfortunate.
you know, really, really feel, you know, Felice Kafusi is another person who divides opinion amongst people in the game. But, you know, I hope your dad's well. Felice, we know you're going to watch this. Felice's teammate Cam Munster has been forced to come out and say, I'm committed to the Storm to the end of 2023 because Melbourne made a complaint to the NRL about the tapping him up.
Wayne Bennett plays by his own rules, gets called out. I have worries, though, that this sets a bad precedent because every single player who's off contracts don't matter anymore.
Nah, they don't.
In the next 2 years is going to be linked to every club, especially Are you going to say, Terry, right now, that every single player entering the last year of their contract is going to call a press conference to say, I'm going to play out my contract next season?
No, I just think that this one, because there's been so much talk about where Munster's going to go, and again it's circulated that Redcliffe are now encouraging him to break his contract. Melbourne have come out and made the official complaint, and the complaint was lodged, that's now put pressure on Munster to turn around and go, I'm not going anywhere.
It's fair enough.
2023 will be his last season at Melbourne. I think he ends up in 2024.
Yeah.
But you look, I think if you go and make a complaint, you've got to put the player under the spotlight, and Cam Munster handled it well.
Fair enough.
G'day boys, thanks for having me on the show once again. A little bit to touch on this week. You would have seen Ewan Aitken. He was named in the centres at the start of the week. He ended up playing in the back row. Adam Pompey came in. He played in the centres, did a really good job defensively. From what I'm hearing, this will save Ewan Aitken from moving out to the centres. I think he will remain in the back row moving forward for the New Zealand Warriors, as long as they keep winning and they keep defending a little bit better on their edges. So one thing to keep an eye on there. They were considering moving Aitken out there last week. I don't think he was overly stoked about it. Now it looks like the emergence of Pompey after that good game, at least it'll buy Aitken a couple of weeks in the back row. Once again, we're hearing Justin Holbrook up at the Gold Coast Titans could find himself in a little bit of curry. A lot of rumours circulating that will not go away, that he will be sacked very soon. An interesting one. I mean, is anyone overly shocked the Gold Coast Titans are struggling a little bit? They're probably struggling more than we anticipated, but they came into this season with, essentially a rookie spine outside of AJ Brimson, who they were playing out of position. They've had injuries here and there. They've got a captain that's 21 years old. As much as I love Tino, it's a very tough gig. Rugby league on the Gold Coast is, history tells us it's difficult as it is. With such a young squad and really lacking experience in their halves, this was always going to be tough. And for me, I always thought the Titans were looking long-term. I didn't think they'd make a rash decision like this as quickly as they have, especially with potentially the answer in Kieran Foran arriving next year. So interesting to see what happens at the Gold Coast Titans over the next few weeks. At my time of recording, the New South Wales and Queensland teams haven't been announced yet, but you will see them very soon. I'm hearing that Felice Kafusi could be out. Dane Gagai, he could be under a little bit of pressure. But one guy I want you to keep an eye on in Game 3 who I know is under a little bit of pressure, It's the Queensland captain, Dally Cherry Evans. Now, we know this entire series they've had Tommy Dearden in the camp. It's probably more of a 6 than a 7 Tom Dearden. But for me, in Game 3, from my understanding, DCE, not only is he playing for his Origin career, he's defending for his Origin career. From what I've heard, that's the problem that Billy Slater and Cam Smith have had. If you listen to my podcast, we talk about it quite often, that DCE can be caught out defensively. So keep an eye on that situation. What would they do next year? They could play Tom Dearden. They could watch the emergence of Sam Walker for another season. The other option is move their hooker, Benny Hunt, to 7. So he is replaceable, Dally Cherry Evans, and from what I've heard, he is playing for his Origin career. If they lose and he doesn't defend well, might be the last you see of DCE in maroon. A situation to watch there. Long time till Origin starts. I'll talk to you again before the game kicks off in 10 days' time. So I'll give you more on teams and whatnot once they've all been announced and everything. But one to keep an eye on there. Dally Cherry Evans could be playing for his Origin career in 10 days' time. Cheers for having me on again, legends. Hope you have a cracking week, and we'll talk to you next Sunday.
Dan,
Talk to me, Terry.
did you go to the game on the weekend?
No. Did you go to the game on the weekend?
No.
Kate, did you go to the game on the weekend?
Hey Dan and Terry, I hope you both haven't been washed away in the horrid weather that Sydney and the surrounds are experiencing, and I really hope that everyone is staying safe. Okay, so as you all know, I've been on a holy pilgrimage up north with all roads leading to Cowboys country, Townsville, and to the stadium that JT built, Queensland Country Bank Stadium. I have to say being in Townsville really just feels like my home away from home. I've spent so much time up here over the years. I really do feel like a bit of a local. If I ever go MIA, you'll find me between 2 palm trees and a beautiful restaurant called Sea Bar along the Strand. Okay, back to the Cowboys. I was up here, of course, for the derby to end all derbies. The Cowboys v the Broncos. These are the games that the fans live for. There really is nothing better than when the draw comes out at the start of the year, marking these dates on my calendar. They are an absolute highlight for both clubs. The weather up in Townsville had looked threatening for a couple of days, and actually earlier in the week, the forecast looked diabolical for the Saturday blockbuster. But as so often happens, fate stepped in and the rain stayed away for approximately 25,000 Cowboy fans and a few Broncos to descend on the stadium in colossal numbers. They marched from the Leagues Club in their hundreds to the sound of a beating drum, singing the whole way down the city streets, over the bridge and into the battleground. It really is a sight to behold, and I think I get an extra kick out of it because I only get to see this once or twice a year, and to be amongst the Cowboys fans like this. I'm usually loud but very outnumbered in Sydney when I'm at games, so it's nice to be a part of the majority once in a while. Before the game, there was actually a great interview with Gold Stars captain Romy Teitzel, where the crowd got to give her a huge round of applause as she showed off the BMD Premiership trophy that she and her team had won in incredible fashion only a few weeks ago. And to my surprise, my favourite Cowboy, former legend Maddie Bowen, rang the cowbell to signal the start of the game. It's a really nice new game day tradition that they've brought in up there. And then before we knew it, the game was on. It was so good to have Kyle Felt back. I was a little bit shocked to see him as a late change after coach Toddy Payton mentioned that he pulled up sore after Wednesday's training session. Looking back, I think that might have been Toddy playing some head games with the Broncos. Anyway, King Kyle picked up right where he left off. Another game, another try. And didn't the crowd go off like a frog in a sock when he went over for his try? It's been at least 5 games since we last saw him. His MCL injury not seeming to give him any issues at all on the night. He was absolutely up for that clash with the Broncos. The first half of this game was interesting. The Bronx were giving us plenty of opportunity to put points on them, but we just weren't able to capitalise. First tries from both teams in the first 40 came from errors, with Peter Hiku playing tunnel ball out the back for Billy Walters to score for the Bronx, and Muz Taulagi pressing up high in defence and slipping through for what ended up being a really easy intercept. The Cowboys led 10-8 at the break, but there was still plenty of tries to come. It was the second half where the Cowboys really proved their dominance. It wasn't a half without errors by any mean, but even with those errors, they were able to pile 40 points on against the Broncos. My Cowboys mate Sam Revel tweeted, It was the first time since Jonathan Thurston's Townsville farewell game against the Eels in 2018 that the Cowboys have scored 40 points in a game. An incredible stat and really fitting because it shows how far this team has come in 2022 compared to the lean seasons that we had post the JT era. Now, in this game, the Bronx were great when they had field position, and when they have it this year, they're going to score points more often than not. But wow, they had some absolute shockers with their kicking game. Kicks going out on the full, kick going out on the full at a 40-20 attempt as well. They really did give the Cowboys some great opportunities. What I noticed actually multiple times during the second half where the Broncos were on their haunches, absolutely sucking the air in. And when anyone, and I mean Cobbo, when I make this remark, made a break, a line break, there were Cowboys coming from everywhere to shut those players down. I said it last week and I'll keep saying it. The Cowboys are fitter this season than most teams, and it's really showing in the second 40 minutes, and they're really going to come into their own in the back half of the season, I think. In the end, it was the Cowboys who won 6-4. 40-26 was the scoreline. Shout out to both Val Holmes and Adam Reynolds, who are 100% with their boots at goal. The match had plenty of feeling, and the Broncos made a comeback with about 4 minutes on the clock. But look, the game wasn't really in any doubt at that point, and it was certainly put to bed when Muzz Taulagi went over for his double meat pie in the dying moments of the game. Val Holmes is earning his dollars in the jersey this year. He's leading the NRL stats for points scorer on 149 and also goals on 52. So that's a really nice stat for the Cowboys to lead in. Okay, now Dan and Terry, the Cowboys have a bye next week, but the week after that, we take on your Sharkies. It could be 3 versus 4. I cannot wait for this matchup. One of us is going to have bragging rights after that battle, so bring it on. Talk soon.
Terry,
Talk to me, Dan.
it's time to talk some black, white and blue.
It's always good to talk after a win.
Certainly is. 3 wins in a row, sitting pretty in 4th spot, clear in 4th spot now, thanks to the other teams around us. Big news this week, Terry. Matthew Moylan, young Matthew Moylan, signed a 2-year deal, expected to be announced in the next few days. What do you reckon?
I reckon it's a good move. I think at the beginning of the year, I would have said 2 years is a bit too much. It's on cap-friendly money. There isn't many players. Well, I don't think there's any players
There's
off
no
contract.
players.
I mean, I know we turn around and say Kurt Falls or Brad Schneider and guys like that to come in, but I mean...
Starting again.
Yeah, you are. You're starting again. There's no one in our reserves that are really putting pressure on. I mean, Trindle went back and played 80 minutes of New South Wales Cup and was really good. Cade Dykes is young, but he's going between fullback and 5'8" at the moment. Ryan Rivett is another one in there as well. But if you're talking about, 2024... if you're talking about 2023... again, we're probably a few pieces away from that premiership, and it's going to be 2024 and onwards that you're pushing forward. So I like the idea of Matt Moylan being around. And if Cade Dykes breaks out, you can just turn around to Moiser and go, bench, 18th man, get the Fafita treatment, cash your check and thank you.
I don't think we were given a choice because Moylan's been arguably in our top 3 players for the past 8 weeks.
Yeah,
He's probably been our best player in the
3 weeks in a row now, online fans have voted Matt Moylan as our man of the match. So
it says it all. I just think he's been so good. Mm-hmm. I think if it's 2 years or I'm going elsewhere, take the 2 years. Like you said, there's nothing that says we have to play him every year.
Yeah, and it's not like he's turned around and said, I want 2 years, $1 million a year, or 2 years. It's just a little bit more than what he's on this year, and he re-signed 1 year for pittance. So
yeah,
I'm happy with it. And then if in 2023, you do want to go and have a run at Munster, and and Munster says yes, well, you've got Moylan there as a backup.
Spot on.
If you want to have a crack at Burton, I personally wouldn't after seeing his performances at 5'8". But there's always options there, and then you've got Moylan.
Exactly right. Now I do think Cade Dykes, and we'll move on to the Newtown Jets, who had a very good win on the weekend against quality opposition, the Bulldogs. A lot of NRL first graders experience there. Sit second behind the mighty Penrith Panthers, who are, a cut above.
Yeah, tough team.
But going back to Cade Dykes, he was pretty good.
Yeah.
He was pretty good. Now, Trindle was the best player in the park. He was the difference. He was fantastic, as we thought he would be, because he's too good for that division, that level of play, but he needs the minutes under his belt.
He does.
Now, I've moved away from where I was going, but Kate Dykes looks very promising, but he looks 2 years away.
Yeah, there's a lot of development with Cade Dykes, and it's got nothing to do with his IQ, his footy brain, because his dad was one of the best players that, you know, we had for a long period of time. It's all to do with the development of his body.
It is. He's a young bloke.
He's scrawny.
Yeah, he's a little bloke.
Yeah.
Now, I was looking for him on the weekend, thanks to Fox for finally showing a Jets game, because I wanted to mention him on the show. He's a small bloke.
Yeah.
Even next to Braden Trindle, he looks small, and Trindle's not a big bloke. 2 years of NRL pre-season, because he's had, one?
Yeah.
He's going to be big. He's going to be experienced, obviously, and he's playing in a very good Newtown side.
He looks and moves like his dad as well, doesn't he?
He does.
That left boot that he's got is...
Now, he did. There was a couple of plays late on when the rain was coming down. He was just kicking to the corner because they worked out very quickly that Trindle was on fire and they had to go to him. Dykes came into it in the last 20 minutes and helped ice the game. He's a year ahead of where he has any right to be.
Correct, yeah.
But as you said earlier, he's been between fullback and halves. I think he's a half.
Yep.
I think Lockie Miller's the backup fullback for as long as he's around. Okay, Dykes is the future, but you can't rush him in.
No, you absolutely can't. And we've got, you know, if Lockie Miller moves into the centre position, for example, we've got young fullbacks coming through as well. So Cade Dykes is the person I think they're going to earmark to be the number 6 next to Nicho Hynes, who looks like he's going to be a shark for life. He's loving his footy at the moment. I thought he was arguably our best player on the weekend. But you've got to put around what's going to make Nicho comfortable, and going back to it, if Matt Moylan's it, then, you know, it's on us to find the person life after Moylan.
Look, sticking with the Jets, any young Sharks, because a lot of people can't see the Jets play, obviously, because they don't get the television time that they did since the change in the television agreement. Any players stand out for you?
Look, Tom Hazelton was absolutely fantastic. I think Caleb Ueli, Braden's younger brother, he took a nice charge, scored a try. I think he's got, you know, fitness is his issue there, but he could be, you know, something sensational. And his brother was a late developer as well.
Very much so.
Jesse Colhern, that guy.
Magic.
He looks like he's going to be fantastic. And at the beginning of the year, he was an edge back row, and now he's a prop or a lock. So
yeah, he got called on because we had HIA, we being the Jets, of course, and he had to move to the second row. And he looked at home. He looked big, he looked fast, and he looked like he knew what he was doing against NRL quality opposition. I'm so excited about this kid.
Kale Lyra is the other one as well.
He's the other
that
one.
Kid's good.
Now, I hear he's off contract.
Yeah.
Let's hope it's not for too long, because the next cab off the ranks is that kid screams first grade.
Absolutely, he does. Now, the game on the weekend against the Dogs, scrappy, lots of errors, some dumb penalties, Dan.
Dumb penalties. It's in the Sharks. It's in the DNA. Dumb. Ill discipline. I can give away. I mean, the ball was a cake of soap. Those conditions, for anyone not in Sydney, it's been raining for 3 days straight, and it hasn't stopped for a single second. It is disgusting. You saw the ground. But the penalties, the laying on, and this dumb, will I pass? No. Yep, into row C.
It's Jesse Ramey you're talking about there. Perfect kick from Nicho Hynes. Excellent chase. The Dogs forwards were not getting back for the next 3 tackles. We had him pinned down. And he was looking at the referee. He was looking at Ashley Klein laying him. And Ashley Klein was like, get up, bang.
And then he does this. So frustrating. We cut those errors out. We're going to be a much better side.
Yeah. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about from the Sharks, our forward pack, it stood up in defence. I think we need more out of him in terms of go forward.
We've gotten to a habit of relying on the backs, which is good, but you can't rely on your backs because there's going to be games where they're not having good performances. The big boys have to match it with the opposition.
Yeah. Where to go? What are you going to do? We've got to sign. I think our next signing needs to be a big forward.
It needs to be a big bop. And Kafusi had another good game for Parramatta. Got a little bit caught up in the stink, which I don't really like to see.
Oh, I do. Throw it.
Yeah, throw them. But we need that aggression, so...
Go get Joe Tarpany.
Yeah, please.
Dan.
Talk to me, Terry.
It's time to talk some TopSport tips.
How'd we go last week?
I think we picked a perfect round.
Of course we did.
Yeah, if I got one wrong, you probably got it right. So we're going good. Now, short round of footy.
Easy. Last time, I am remiss to say that I was perfect round. So let's do it again. I think we've tipped... No, we haven't tipped the same.
We have not tipped the same. Let's start Thursday night. Shark Park. It's meant to be torrential rain all week.
Sharknado 2.
Sharknado 2 is coming up now. Sharks versus the Storm. I think it's going to be critical if Nicho Hines or Talakai aren't 18th man, because if Jack White and Cook are named on the bench, then one of our boys is going to be 18th man, won't get released for the game. Fingers crossed, though, Freddie decides that Joseph Suwali needs to play 18th man or something so we can get our boys back. But no, look, no Munster, no Grant, no Kafusi. Anyone else missing from them?
No, I don't think so, because I don't think Pappenhausen's going to get picked despite a really, really good return. A bit quiet early on. Everyone's like, oh, he's done, he's a fraud. Then he's the player of like the millennium in the last 15 minutes. This is going to be tough.
It is going to be tough. Look, I'm going to stick with my streak at the moment of picking the Sharks. I'm going to tip us to go 4 in a row. Look, we love playing Melbourne. Even the last couple of years, we haven't been at our best, but when we've been down, we've still given the Storm a really good game. We were in it up until a couple of dumb brain snaps and a penalty in the game that wasn't a penalty on the Cam McInnes getting Pappenhausen for a hip drop. Cost us in that one, but look, I think we'll get Melbourne.
I'm going to tip the Storm because I feel the jinx is in order. Jinx. Mm-hmm. But I would be shocked if this game is high scoring.
Oh yeah, look, the way the conditions are going to be now, you're looking at like a 14-6.
Yeah, any penalty goals, please take. Hopefully Nico's there. If out of the two, I'd prefer Talakai be 18th man because I think Nico's the difference between the sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in saying that, I'm going to go the Storm because, I hate them.
Friday night footy has got the Newcastle Knights up there at McDonald Jones Stadium against the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Now,
a real Friday night blockbuster.
Now, Newcastle finally broke the drought.
It was the Titans.
You tipped the Titans.
I always tip the Titans. Sorry, boss.
Yeah, look, I don't know how to go about this one here, apart from saying that the Rabbitohs are going to win.
Bunnies, yeah. Latrell's back.
Latrell is back, and he will be playing this game as well.
Pong is missing, although I got to say, they look better without him.
They did, like Tex Hoy, Adam Clune.
Can I make a quick prediction?
You can.
Edric Lee's not going to score 5 tries this weekend.
No, but it was good to see Eddie. It was good to see Eddie. A couple of those tries were just catch and fall over the line.
Doesn't matter, he scored them.
Doesn't bother me. My boy Edric.
The record books doesn't have...
Let the record book show that Edric Lee is the only Knight in history to score 5 in a game. Probably the only Knight in history to score 5 in a season.
Alex Johnson may score 5 against the Knights this weekend. What would you get on that?
I don't know, but...
This game's going to be an atrocity.
I don't know, but yeah.
South.
Give me Souths. Saturday night, speaking of atrocities, the West Tigers will be on your screen as they play the Parramatta Eels. I don't care. Yeah. After seeing the West Tigers' performance over there in New Zealand, like, you had one job to go there and spoil that party, and you did everything that New Zealand wanted you to do. You laid down, you played soft, you showed nothing. I called at the beginning of the year that Jackson Hastings is nothing but a glorified Super League player. I stand by it. Wests are bad. I know they beat Parramatta before. Parramatta are going to trounce them.
Parramatta are going to win by 30. I don't necessarily agree with everything you said.
I don't care.
But there was an argument before the game yesterday, Sunday afternoon, about the Tigers, saying, is Dane Laurie bad because the Tigers are bad, or the Tigers bad because Dane Laurie's bad? They're both bad.
Yeah.
It's an awful, awful position. They are worse than the Titans. I don't care what...
Well, if they lose this game and the Titans get the 2 points from the bye, the Tigers are last.
Fantastic, as they should be. They are disgusting. They have one fan that we know quite well, young Lockie. Superstar, went over there, cheered him, deserved better. Now, of course, you can't single out one, but we're going to, because he's a legend. But they're a disgusting team. They got Adam Dewey there, and they go, oh, we might put him in the centres, we'll put him in the halves. Drop Luke Brooks. Brett Kamali, Shark legend. Make the call. Drop him. Put him in reserve grade.
Don't. This is funny.
It is funny, but I'm sick of it.
Like, at the beginning of the year, I felt sorry for them when they couldn't win a game. Now they're doing it to themselves.
They are doing it to themselves. Like you said, it is funny, which is ultimately what we're all about.
But seriously, the Warriors had not played at home for 1,000 days, and you just played into their hands with soft footy. Like, no one wanted to run that ball. I've heard from lots of Tigers fans that Stefano's meant to be the next thing, the next cab off the rank as props go. Mate, he wouldn't even make the Jets.
No, he wouldn't make the Jets.
That team is
awful.
so bad.
How good is bagging the Tigers? They make it so easy.
Fantastic.
Parramatta, 30 plus.
Yeah, 30 plus. And your Sunday afternoon, this is going to be a pretty good game. It's the Broncos against the Dragons. Now, the Dragons, mate, they're on knocking on that door of the top 8. I think they closed the door on the Raiders now.
Yeah, Raiders are gone.
Yeah, they're 4 points adrift or 6 points adrift and bad for and against now.
That's enough.
The Dragons, though, no Benny Hunt.
No Ben Hunt, which really, really drags him back because I think he could be the difference here. Adam Reynolds had the worst game I can remember him having this past weekend against Cowboys.
And you don't have 2 bad games in a row.
He's not going to have 2 bad games. Right? I think he'd be best player in the field. I think the Broncos win and win well.
Yeah, I'm going to tip the Broncos in this one as well. Look, no Payne Haas, no
Carrigan.
Flegler may get a call up as well.
Jeez, I miss
Is Corey Oates going to play? We don't know.
This may be the baby Broncos versus the baby full strength little brothers. So
I'm going to pick the Broncos in this, but it's not going to be a flogging. This is going to be a close game as well. Now, just on the Broncos as well, they lost to the Cowboys on the weekend, which makes the Cowboys the official Forex Cup winners. And congratulations.
That's what it's all about.
To the mighty Cowboys. We'll send you a can of Forex in the mail. Picking the Broncos.
The boys. Bronx for me.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Rugby League Outlaws, brought to you by our good friends at Punctured Media, TopSport, onelittleFootyFan.com.au, and the Stubby Club. Don't forget to like and subscribe, follow everyone, give them some love. Drop some comments on there, let us know what you thought about the show, any contentious points as well. Dan loves reading fan mail, I don't.
I love it.
And
I look forward to it every single week.
Dan?
Origin affected rugby league. Baby.